Hello guys, I'm Dre Ratliff, and we are here on FYI, and I have Mrs. Angela Irvin here today, RN, BSN, and owner of One-Way Training. How are you today, Angela?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me today.
Great, great. So I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
When did you discover your passion for helping people and ultimately deciding to become a nurse?
Well, at the ripe old age of 9, my dog died. So what I ended up doing was I found a air pump and I decided to stick it in his mouth and I started pumping. So there I wanted to see the dog live. Of course he didn't, so I knew there was something deeper. And then on a more personal level, I had 2 cousins and one of them of which died in front of me. So I felt helpless at the time. So that really fueled my passion for going into nursing and being able to actively assist people.
Yes. And where have you been successful?
As far as
nursing, have you been successful?
Oh, wow. Nursing has been an extremely rewarding career. I've been a nurse for the past 16 years.
Wow.
I've actually been a nurse in the hospital sector, in the nursing homes, psychiatric units. So there's not many places that I haven't been in nursing. It's been a very rewarding career. Most recently, I've actually managed a managed care organization's care management department, housing about 40 nurses.
Wow.
Yep.
That's an accomplishment.
Most definitely.
Now, we both know that nursing is a very lucrative career. I have friends who are nurses on different levels. Why did you leave nursing to start your own business?
I don't actually see it as leaving nursing. I see it as moving forward. It's more of like a calling as opposed to career. And you're correct, nursing is lucrative. I left corporate America making over 6 figures a year, so it would have had to be something very dire for me to leave and for my husband to agree for me to leave. And basically it was a calling. It was the Lord letting me know that it was time. I had been flying all over the United States training people. No matter what position I got into, I always ended up as a manager, trainer, or educator. And one of the things that the Lord led me to do was, you've been doing this all over the world for other people, market yourself.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you're still doing what you enjoy.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I know that you can be pretty busy. So how do you manage home life and your career?
Wonderful. Well, one of the reasons I left corporate America was there was not an adequate balance between life and work because, you know, when you make 6 figures, you're sort of married to the job. If you're not wearing a pager, you're wearing a phone, or you have to be accessible to people. So there was not a great work-life balance. So it was a lot of things that we had to take into consideration. Now, being a business owner, I set my own hours.
That's right.
So I'm able to spend that time. I have children, 15, 13, and 5. I have a husband. You know, we want to spend that quality time together. And I can tell you, working over 16 years, we probably only had a couple of vacations.
Wow.
So now we get to spend a lot more time together.
Wow.
So.
And that's ultimately what you want to do.
Exactly.
Be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yep.
Definitely. So what does your business really consist of, though? Now, I know that you train people, but let's go a little bit deeper.
Okay. I like to say it one way, training people is our business. That's what we do. In order to adequately give you information regarding it, I have to tell you where the passion came from. What I did was I found that in the church, because I spend a lot of time in the church, that a lot of time people aren't tithe payers, not because they don't want to be, but because they don't have the adequate resources.
True.
So I felt like as a minister, we have the fiduciary responsibility to make sure if there's a need that we're identifying that gap and we're actively doing something about it. So what I started doing was giving people money. What happens when you give people money? There comes a time when they need it again.
Exactly.
So then I started thinking about, okay, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish,
That's right.
he eats for a lifetime. So from there, my passion stemmed, what can I give them of what you know, I've been afforded, because everybody doesn't have the same opportunity. I'm thankful that I had the ability to go to school, get a bachelor's degree, and then also move forward to take classes toward my master's degree. Everybody doesn't have that opportunity. So I developed a 6-week professional development program, which would teach people how to dress. It would teach them how to answer application-based questions, how to identify yourself as the best candidate. What should my resume look like when that's the first impression? So that's what One Way does. We give people gainful skills as far as the public sector. I chose churches because that's something that's near and dear to my heart. But on the private sector, I also teach corporations. I set up training programs for them, because one of the things that they do is they hire trainers, pay them $60,000 plus a year, but they're not training all year.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like a rent-a-trainer kind of model. You call me when you need me.
Right.
So, and I can tell you another component that we're adding is CNA, CMT training.
That's
so
wonderful.
I'll be able to give you a gainful skill that you can go out and you can get a job that you can bridge off of. You don't stop at CNA, you go back to nursing school. So that's what we're doing at One Way.
And that's very commendable. That's very commendable. Well, this is Dre with FYI. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Excuse me, what time are you guys leaving? We're gonna rob your house tonight.
Don't come closer. I have rabies.
Don't you wish there were warnings to protect you from life's risks? With diabetes, there is one. It's called A1C, a simple blood test that helps measure your risk of a heart attack and other complications. Learn more at diabetesaA1c.org.
There's a lot of talk out on the street about his mother, his mother, your mother, their mother. But in the end, is anyone really even thinking about them?
Welcome back, guys. This is Dre with FYI, and I have Mrs. Angela Irvin here. So tell me something, Mrs. Irvin. What has been some of the challenges that you have faced in your career, out of your career, and doing your business?
Well, there have been many challenges. A lot of times you'll find that people are intimidated by you, even though you're not vying for somebody's job. So I've kind of dealt with a lot of that in my career. I've dealt with racism in my career, but it's taught me to be more compassionate towards people.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I see people for who they are. I don't care if you're red, black, yellow, or green. I just love you. I have a passion for people, and it's given me that passion because I don't have a problem working with all types of people.
That's right.
As far as my business is concerned, I would say one of the biggest challenges has been friends and family and how they feel about it. You know, is it time for you to go out? Are you sure this is what you're supposed to do? So people having faith in you, but I think the most important thing has been my husband. He's been my biggest cheerleader. And also believing in yourself and knowing that you can do it regardless of what people think. So those have been some challenges, but I think we've done a good job overcoming them.
And one thing I do want to know, because I know some people who face challenges in nursing school, and it kind of discouraged them a little bit. So if I was one of those people, how would I get through that? What type of advice would you give me to get through that?
The advice I would give, we're all going to face challenges. One of the things that I shared with a lot of the CNAs that I worked with was I ended up being pregnant both times that I was in nursing school. So that's a challenge. You know, the first thing you do or people think that you're going to do is quit because you're pregnant.
Right.
But what I felt, every kick I felt like was my son or daughter saying, hey, mama, I gotta eat.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, think about why you're doing what you're doing. It's so much more than you. If you look beyond yourself, then that's where you find the inner strength to keep going on. If you have to stay up to 5 o'clock in the morning to study, you're going to do it because my kid has to eat. And that's been my motto. I would even put it as my passcode. So when I got to those times that were tough, or I had to study those drug cards, or I wasn't quite getting drip rates or dosage calculation, my kids got to eat.
Exactly. And that's the attitude to have if you want to be successful in life anyway, in anything that you do. So what drives you, what drove you to become your own boss?
I would have to say I never had a desire to be my own boss. I have brothers and sisters who are their own bosses. My brothers, one of them owns a car dealership, one of them owns a detail shop. My sisters are both authors. They write books. So I
it's in
want
your
to
blood.
say it's in the DNA.
It's running through the lines.
Although I felt like it skipped me until one day, I told you I was on my way to work, and the Lord was just dealing with me, and he told me that it was time. And for me, it's been the leading of the Lord. It was nothing that I had planned.
Mm-hmm. And that's wonderful. Now, what is the long-term goal, though, of your company? Do you want to expand to different, markets, different areas? What exactly is the long-term goal?
I can tell you my long-term goal is I want to build strong individuals, which builds strong families, which builds strong communities. I want to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. I don't want to complain about something that I'm not going to put any effort into fixing. So I want to strengthen communities. I want people to have pride in what they do. And also, I want people to know my name. I want One Way to be all over the United States and abroad.
Those
are my long-term goals.
Perfect. Now, in any ways, do you miss working in corporate America?
I can say I miss the relationships that I was able to establish in corporate America. I still have friends who are vice presidents. I still have friends who are staff nurses. So I would say the thing that I miss the most is the relationships. But as I look back over my life, corporate America taught me some wonderful principles about leadership that have been priceless. So I feel like I owe corporate America in some way for the leadership skills that they were able to impart unto me.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, I myself work in corporate America, so I can understand the struggle and I can understand the triumph of that as well. Well, Angela, I want to thank you for coming on to FYI today. We appreciate you, and thanks for gracing us with your spirit today.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. All right, guys, this is Dre with FYI, and it's a wrap. See you next week.